Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip believes the debate ended last night and LeBron will never pass Jordan. Shannon doubles down and says his Cavs would have swept the Warriors without Kevin Durant. Skip and Shannon debate the reported target date for a Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight. Plus, Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is here to predict if we will see the Warriors and Cavs in next year's NBA Finals. And Chris explains his A- grade for LeBron in the Finals. Shannon, are you okay after last night?
You okay? You'll be good. We can get through this.
Ain't no we.
We?
We
How are you,
ain't
Shannon?
no we. Now all of a sudden it's we.
Yep. Breakfast of champions.
Oh,
Nectar of the gods.
Diet Mountain
Dew.
Hold on.
Two more cases. Over and done.
You willing to do that after what Kevin Love did last night and Kyrie not showing up at the fourth? You would take my due on that.
I will. I'm going to take your due because you gave me that due.
I didn't give it to you.
Yes, you did.
Kevin Durant took it from me.
Yeah, probably true.
Let's get it started with the world champion Warriors. They beat the Cavs last night 129-120 to win their second title in the last 3 seasons. The Warriors finished the postseason at 16-1, tied for the fewest playoff losses by a championship team. Kevin Durant capped off his first NBA title with 39 points and was named Finals MVP. And LeBron became the first player ever to average a triple-double in the Finals. After the game, Durant spoke about facing off against LeBron.
This is the second time you've had to go through a man that many consider maybe the best player of his generation. Can you describe for us what it's like as competitors going back and forth with him?
He's the only person that I was looking at since 2012. He's the only one that I looked at and said he's the only guy that can look me eye to eye. And I knew it was going to be a battle. I was trying to challenge him. He averaged a damn triple-double. Can't stop the guy. But we battled, man. We battled, and, you know, I told him we tied up now. And, you know, we were trying to do this thing again, but I'm going to celebrate this one tonight.
I'm happy for him. You got to call Kevin Durant a champ now. It's kind of crazy to think about, you know, the conversations we had this summer and going into the year about how we can, you know, both mesh and gel and do what we do and be the players that we are. And see it come to life in this series, it was unbelievable.
They assembled a great team. You know, we was able to get them last year, and they went out and got, you know, one of the best players that this league has ever seen. Teams and franchises are going to be trying to figure out ways that they can put personnel together, the right group of guys together to be able to hopefully compete against this team. And like I said, they're assembled as good as you can assemble. And I've played against some really, really good teams that was assembled perfectly, and they're right up there.
Skip, what happened last night?
First of all and foremost, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors, and especially to Kevin Durant. He didn't wind up chasing a ring in Golden State. He wound up leading Golden State to a ring it blew without him a year ago. Now, back to last night. Last night left me flat, left me numb, it left me stunned. It left me let down and disappointed because I predicted Golden State in 7 because I truly believed that LeBron James and Kyrie Irving could give Golden State all it wanted, that it could make this a classic 7-game series, another 7th game back in Oracle, and then we would see what we would see. And last night, I saw once again a team in Cleveland that should have won Game 3. We all agreed on that. You agreed on that. Mm-hmm. Did win Game 4 convincingly, hugely. And last night, with 10-14 left in the second quarter, I saw that Cleveland. I saw a Cleveland that was in control of that basketball game. And I am thinking, here we go. I'm thinking this is headed back to Cleveland for Game 6, and might be headed back to Oracle for Game 7. And then I'm thinking, huh? Wait, where did Cleveland go? What just happened? I don't remember a more stunning stretch in my whole career of covering the National Basketball Association, dating back to days I covered the Lakers for the LA Times in this city, Los Angeles, California. Shannon Sharpe.
Yep.
I'm still a little speechless about what happened with Cleveland up 8 with 10:14 left, and over the next 9 minutes and 9 seconds, the Cavs got outscored 36-11. 36-11, they went from up 8 to down 17, and that was basically game, set, finals, right?
Yes.
Because they're not going to come back from 17. I know they got a little close there early in the fourth quarter, but it never felt like a game to me as it did up 8 early in the second quarter. So I look at what happened. LeBron played the whole stretch, and he didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't do enough right. He only took 2 shots in that stretch, that 36-11 stretch, and he did make one, which was a 3-point shot. Kyrie sat for a minute and a half of that stretch. Otherwise, when he played, he went 1 for 5 with 2 turnovers. Not very good.
No.
So LeBron winds up over that stretch a minus 25. And again, it's not wrong. It's just you got to do a little more. Attack, do something. It was one of those strange, disengaged stretches where you say, LeBron, do something. You're the best player on the planet. Save the day. Stop the bleeding.
You mean like pass the ball and they missed the shot?
They all missed shots. It wasn't just one guy missing, although, again, Kyrie 1 for 5 is no good. But in that stretch, to Kevin Durant's credit, Richard Jefferson guarded him some, and LeBron took him some, and he scored 13 in that 36-11 stretch. Did he not hugely deserve MVP of this series?
Well,
it's not even questioned.
Yeah, no-brainer.
So, no-brainer. So then, very early in the fourth quarter, it did get down to 3 on a really sweet little reverse layup that LeBron made sort of
Up and
around
under.
and under Kevin
That
Durant.
was with his left hand.
And it was a left hand. It was sweet. It was really, it was a big-time shot that very few humans can make.
Correct.
And yet, right away, Kevin Durant went right back down and made a 17-foot fall away on LeBron. And it's just like, can't touch that, man.
Nope.
That's over. Speaking of our man MC Hammer back in Oakland, they're having fun today, aren't they? And then it went back and forth. Iggy, who had a huge game, he played 38 minutes, so he played like a starter's minutes. They just Zaza Pacheep shot. They just said, "You're out. You're just trying to thug people and rough people up and hockey goon people, and you're done. You played 10 minutes." And Iggy scores 20 points. But Kyrie Irving in that fourth quarter, even when it seemed like it could maybe get back to a semblance of the game, he went 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter. No good. So, again, LeBron didn't have Kyrie riding shotgun.
You're not going to say what LeBron did in the fourth quarter?
Not enough.
No, but here's the thing. No, Skip, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Give the man his credit.
I realize he stuffs the stat sheet, but I got to tell you, there were too many stretches of that game. It was weird because he looked tired to me too often on both ends. He didn't play offense. How about the back-to-back sequence in the fourth quarter when it looked like they might make it a semblance of a game? And LeBron and J.R. Smith, I don't know what's going on. I don't know whose fault it was, but back-to-back, they both lost somebody. And one time, Durant gets an uncontested dunk, if we could see that. And then next time down, Iguodala gets an uncontested dunk, and it's just game over. It just ripped whatever heart was left out of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You can't play like that in a game of this magnitude, do or die, sink or swim.
But JR, that was JR's guy. He saw LeBron. LeBron would Skip. He saw Klay Thompson. So LeBron is about to pick the pass.
Maybe.
JR knows he can't get around that.
Okay, LeBron looked gassed to me. And too often in this series, he looked gassed. And guess what? Guess who averaged the most minutes played during the regular season of the NBA season? LeBron James?
And who averaged the most,
14 years?
Who averaged the most minutes in playoffs?
I didn't even track that.
Him.
Okay?
Because you got to think.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. You can't do it in the regular season. You know what? You paid for it last night, or you paid for it in Game 3. You just paid for it too many times. You're getting up there in age. That's 14 NBA seasons with high mileage, and you're just looking gassed in crucial stretches when they need you. If you're the best player on the planet, you got to come a little bigger than that for the whole game. You can't take off. You can't play in spurts. And I saw him play in spurts. And you know what I saw in the end last night? I saw a team that finished the regular season 23-23 over its last 46 games. I saw a Cavaliers team in the big picture that finished 22nd in the NBA in team defense. And that's not all on LeBron, but he used to be their best defender, and now he's just a pretty good defender who plays in spurts. So what did I see in the end? Maybe I saw that they were who we thought they were. Maybe that's who they were down the stretch, and they finally, in the biggest moment, were just deflating because they couldn't hang with a team that just did have more firepower against their 22nd ranked defense. So in the end, I don't know. I'm very happy for Kevin Durant, and I'm deflated by what I saw last night for LeBron and Kyrie's sake.
I, too, would like to congratulate the Golden State Warriors. They were clearly the better team. And the thing I always say about a series is that the best team will always win. You can't hit 4 walk-offs. You can't get 4 games or when you hit a last-second free throw to win the game. When you got to win 4 out of 7, the best team will always win. And this is the reason why the Golden State Warriors were so welcoming, and who wouldn't be, of Kevin Durant. What happened last night is that Kevin Durant happened. Every time they get the game close, what would he do? He's the only guy on the Warriors team, Skip, that you don't have to run a pick for him. You don't have to run a pin down for him. Give him the ball and says, okay, KD, we're clearing it out for you. He pulled up from 27 in Kevin Love's face, three-pointer. Pulled up from 25 in LeBron's face. Goes to the baseline, as you mentioned, step back in LeBron's face. Skip, there's no answer for that. He's 7 foot tall. He's shooting the ball at a trajectory, probably leaving his hand at about 9 feet. You can't block that shot. Think about this. Let's put this in context. Last year in Game 7, they scored 89 points. This year, Game 5, they scored 129. That's a 40-point difference. How many points did Kevin Durant have last night? 39. Think about this. Harrison Barnes scored 65 points in a 7-game series. Kevin Love. Kevin Durant had 176. That's a plus 111.
Okay, so what did I tell you about last year? They held Golden State, the Cavaliers held Golden State 15 points under its regular season average.
Yes.
Scoring average.
Yes.
Over these final 5 games, Golden State averaged 6 more points than it averaged in the regular season. Well, that has something to do with the new or old Cavs defense, right?
Yeah. Well, I look at it. LeBron was LeBron. It's hard. You say you feel let down. Are you let down by the Cavs because you don't think they played to their potential, or you're disappointed because you don't think LeBron James did enough to help this team win?
A little of both, and it's hard to lay total blame on one doorstep over the 36-11 run, but that's the season, that's the game. It's just like the end of Game 3. They're up 7 with 3:06 left, and they give up an 11-0 run to end the basketball game. No good. That's king in his palace. You can't do it. That was more LeBron's fault. Last night, 36-11 was everybody's fault because nobody did anything. They just quit playing. I don't know why. Skip, it's one of those weird Cleveland stretches.
I find it hard for you to be let down and disappointed in LeBron. The guy scored 41, 13, and 8. He averaged 33, 12, and 10.
I've told you nobody can stuff the stat sheet.
So
like
let me ask you a question.
And you know what? To your point, let me finish.
I got to take
there were several times in the fourth quarter when the game was getting out of hand where LeBron would say, "Okay, I've had enough of this," and he would take Durant or Iguodala, just take them to the rim and just play bully ball, and they would just fall back under the baseline like, "I can't stop that," and he would end up laying it in. And it would make me say, why didn't I see that at the end of Game 3? Why didn't I see more of that last night? Because, Shannon, I got to tell you, he is the best player on the planet. They can't stop him. They can't keep that freight train from the rim. And I didn't see enough freight train to the rim because he's got a huge advantage. Golden State, you saw what happened last night. They played small ball the whole game. Zaza, 10 minutes. Iggy, 38 minutes. So what does that tell you? That for 38 of 48 minutes, they're little guys. LeBron's the biggest, strongest guy on the floor, or Tristan, but one of those two, right?
Can I ask you a question? Why is it when LeBron James averages a triple-double, he's stuffing the stat sheet? Russell Westbrook does it for the entire season. It shows how great he is.
Okay, well, who had more help?
Skip, what difference? That should even more show.
Who got a bad team? Who got the New Jersey Nets to the 6th seed?
Skip,
Russell Westbrook.
Skip,
He's the MVP.
Skip, that's more to my point. Even with all that help, with a Kyrie Irving averaging over 25, this is the first time in NBA Finals history, they have 4 players average over 25 points a game. Because he has that help, he still went and got a triple-double. But you gloss over the fact, you talk, oh, he didn't do enough. LeBron James was 7 of 10 in the fourth quarter, 14 points. Kevin Love was 1 of 2, 4 points. Kyrie Irving, 0.
I said it. I blamed the fourth quarter on Kyrie.
No, but you minimized and said, LeBron, well, he didn't do enough. He took 10 shots. They had 23%.
I just told you, he started playing bully ball. They couldn't keep him from the rim, but it was already too little or too much too late.
But Skip.
You know it and I know it. Did it ever really get tight in the fourth quarter except for that 3-point spread early?
And then what happened? Kevin Durant. Exactly. Skip. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Tell me the defender that can stop Kevin Durant when he's in that kind of mode. Can Kawhi do it?
Sometimes. I've seen him at least slow him down. Yep, I have. Skip. I've seen him bother. Hey, go back to the classic Game 6 at Oklahoma City, 2014, that led to a blowout of LeBron in the finals. What happened?
Skip.
Kawhi happened to Kevin Durant. Go check it out.
Yeah, you might can have a game, but if in that series, what did Kevin Durant average? And think about it.
But he's like LeBron. He just gets his. And it just depends. Last night, 41 could have been 61 for LeBron. I'm serious. If they're going to play small, nobody can stop him. You can do even more than you do.
But see, LeBron understands. And as Russell Westbrook would do more, his team lost more. Skip,
Shannon.
When you have Kyrie, you have Kevin Love, you have to get LeBron James cannot score enough. If you think LeBron James, Skip, you come to get.
Who's the best player on the floor?
LeBron.
Okay, thank you. And I'm agreeing with you on that. What happened? Where was the game lost? 36-11 happened over 9 minutes of the second quarter. Up 8 to down 17. What did LeBron do during that stretch? That's all I care. That's the crucial stretch.
So you just take one microcosm of the game. So the entire game means nothing.
9 minutes is more than a microcosm,
okay,
man.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why you didn't bring up the fact?
Time out. You didn't let me finish. LeBron, over 9 minutes, took 2 shots and made 1.
Okay.
It's not enough. You got to stop the bleeding. You have to say, no, I'm not going to let you jump out on us by 17, because once they do, you're pretty cooked at roaracle, because they're just going to roar all night long. You're going to let them play free and easy and without the pressure that we thought was all on the home team last night. The pressure was when you're up 8, 10 minutes to go in the second quarter, and it took J.R. Smith, who was out of his mind last night, it took 2 out of his mind threes at the end of the half to cut it back to 11 and make it a semblance of a game.
Can I ask you this? With about 10 minutes left in the ball game, LeBron James dunks. Kevin Durant hits him in his head. That would have been his 3rd foul with 10 minutes to go. Now,
10 minutes in the second quarter.
10 minutes in the second quarter to go.
Yeah. No, that started the 36-11 run.
But let me ask you a question.
And it was a flat-out foul on Kevin Durant, and I've told you.
And that should have been what foul? Number what on him? Number 3.
3, and it would have sat him for a while.
Exactly.
It could have been a turn.
Now, we don't know, Skip. Still, Golden State still might have went on the run. Maybe it's not 28-4. Maybe it's 22-7.
I didn't think it was what Golden State was doing. I thought it was what Cleveland didn't do. Tristan had 2 turnovers. Kyrie had 2 turnovers. LeBron had 1 turnover where he got caught up in the air with nowhere to go, and he came down.
Travel.
Okay, so that's 5 turnovers in that stretch where you're just saying, here, here, here.
Yes.
Go the other way and make a shot.
Early on.
You know what happens to that team. Once they start front running, they will run you into the hardwood.
And in the first quarter, Skip, Zaza wasn't getting any defensive rebounds. He was getting all offensive rebounds. And that was a chance. They had a chance. It was a 5-point lead. Could have been 8-10.
Yeah.
But look, I'm willing to give the Golden State Warriors the bulk of the credit, because I felt the stars would cancel each other out. I say, you know what? Steph and Kyrie going to play to a draw. Kevin Durant, LeBron will play to a draw. And so let's make it a bench series. Well, the bench got outscored by plus 53, 35-7 last night.
But remember, misleading, because Iggy wasn't really a bench player last night. He's a quasi-starter. He's like a 1A kind of a starter. So Steve Kerr immediately said, nope, I'm going with Iggy tonight because he's going to play like a starter. In 38 minutes, that's not bench minutes, right?
but I'm just saying, I mean, just for...
I got it. They got no help off the bench.
No.
And Kevin Love, I had no love for last night.
This is what I don't understand, Skip. And Kevin Love is a good player. But if you notice, when the game becomes pressurized, this is when he plays it small. Now, because game 4, Skip, there's no pressure. If you lose, you were supposed to lose. He plays relaxed. He's 6 of 8. He comes out in this game when there is remember I told you what happens, expectations.
I know, but this has been his MO his whole career. When you expect, look out, because you're going to be disappointed. And we expected last night him to play 6'10" big, and he came up small. But he did this last year in the finals.
Kevin Durant clearly deserved the MVP. But there's no question in my mind that LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA. And you can say, well, he chased the rings. The ring chased him. Because without him, Skip Bayless, Golden State Warriors, this team, minus Kevin Durant, the Cavaliers sweep them.
Okay. And I want to say to Kevin Durant, because I was critical of him early this year, I said it will take a year for him to figure it out and find his place in that rotation that was working so beautifully in Golden State. And for a while, it looked like they were playing better without him when he got hurt, which was the turning point the season when he did come back.
Hurt his knee against Washington.
I was wrong about that because he proved a lot of people wrong, especially me, because he blended beautifully and became really the go-to man. He led them. He was the takeover guy that I never thought he could be, that he never was with Russell Westbrook.
Did you see the final minutes of the game, Skip? Steph Curry has the ball at the top of the key. Kevin Durant is clapping his hands. He clapping his hand. Give me the ball. What did Steph do, Skip? Here you go, KD.
Well, we found out whose team it was. No mercy. LeBron lost his 5th finals in 8 appearances, becoming the first former MVP in NBA history to lose at least 5 NBA finals. He played all but 1 minute and 47 seconds last night, and after the game, he spoke about giving it his all.
I left everything on the floor every game, all 5 games. So for me personally, I have nothing to be, I have no reason to put my head down. I have no reason to look back at what I could have done or what I shouldn't have done or what I could have done better for the team. I left everything I had out on the floor every single game for five games in this finals, and you come up short.
We're joined now by Chris Broussard. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Joy.
Chris, how would you grade LeBron's finals appearance?
Well, obviously he averaged a triple-double. And I still would take what Russell Westbrook did in the regular season as more impressive just because it was 82 games. But I think you can argue that averaging a triple-double in the finals is just as impressive, if not more, because obviously you're going against a great team. And they're the second best defensive team in the league in terms of this Golden State team. So I thought he was really impressive. Obviously, last night I thought he was tremendous, 41 points, 30 shots, so he was aggressive. He went for it, made 19 of them, 63%, didn't settle for the jumper, only took 5 3-pointers. I thought, Shannon and I talked about it off the set, his playmaking last night I thought was tremendous. I thought he got guys some great open looks. I can't remember how many times I said, nice feed, nice pass. Like, got guys open threes.
Say that every time.
They made some, they missed some. What I think his flaws were in these finals, obviously the end of game 3, failing to take command. And then I wanted to see him in the post more. And that's one thing I think, when we talk about this Cavs team getting better in the offseason, I think LeBron has to be committed to going in the post, not exclusively, of course, but a lot, especially as he gets older, just like Kobe did, just like Michael did, because he doesn't like playing in there. He doesn't want to go in there, but he can exploit people down there, especially with his passing ability. He could pick teams apart, force them to double, or if you don't, go one-on-one. So I think he could have done more of that, but overall, and let me say this too, I believe, I don't know if y'all talked about this yesterday, he gave us the most spectacular, not most impactful, most spectacular individual play in NBA Finals history. That alley-oop to himself off the glass, dunk over Durant and Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
I think it was better than Dr. J's layup.
Up and under.
Better than Jordan, the righty-lefty. You don't just pick up stuff doing it in the finals.
Was it better than that?
Oh, well, that was, of course, it wasn't the most impactful.
I know.
Yeah, but spectacular. So, look, I gave him an A-. He lost to a much better team. I think he's going to go down as an all-time great.
I gave him a B+. And I told you yesterday, Skip, I can't give him an A for the simple fact that he lost. Had he won this series, he got A++++.
plus.
I couldn't have said enough pluses. And I agree with you, Skip. He was spectacular. And I know people are going to look at him and say, well, LeBron's up there saying that there's nothing he could do. As an athlete, all you can do is prepare your best and make sure you leave no stone unturned. Give it everything you possibly have. And then if you walk off the court, win, lose, or draw, you can say, I left everything I had out there. I got nothing to look back. And that's what great athletes can do that. And that's why LeBron won't be a guy that chases. We see some guys, because they get later in their careers, like, man, if I'd have studied a little more, Skip, if I'd have ate a little better, if I'd have trained a little harder, I might have could have done this. There's no question. We know this man puts the time off the court so he can perform as well as he does on the court. I gave him a B for the simple reason, Skip, they didn't win the series. But, Skip, he was phenomenal. To average a triple-double against the second-best team defensively, as Chris mentioned, and you're going against a guy that had it going in a finals game as well as anybody we've seen over the last 20, 30 years. To shoot the average 35, Skip, and to shoot 55% from the floor,
that's the thing, too, 56% from the floor. Unbelievable.
Chris Broussard, I've told you all year, he is still the best passer in all of basketball, and I'm not backing off that. He proved it again last night. 3 or 4, that behind the back to Tristan underneath. It's just like, you can't teach it, you can't coach it. It's a gift. And there are very few. There's like one a generation that has that gift. He's got the gift. For much of these finals, much of them, he was all-time great. And by the way, to your point, if he had pulled this off in these finals, he would be all 4 faces on your Mount Rushmore, right? He'd be the only face, right? You'd put all 4 up there.
Would he be on yours?
He didn't.
One.
We don't even have to discuss that because he lost in 5 games. But here's my point. I'm going to give the best player on the planet a C+ for his 5 finals games because I expected more. And I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. I'm not looking to be hypercritical. I'm just telling you what I expected from the great LeBron James over these 5 games in the crucial moments, the key stretches. He's got to be a little better than he was. All-time great for long stretches, but then in the key moments, the Kevin Durant moments, he wasn't there for his team. And Kevin was. Kevin became the takeover guy. He became the momentum-crushing assassin in this series. You said it earlier. Every time it looked like Cleveland was going to make a run, who said no? Kevin Durant. He made all the big shots.
He did.
And I look back. This isn't the hugest deal, but in Game 1, I thought they had a shot. In fact, I thought that was the one to steal at Oakland. In second quarter, LeBron has 6 turnovers, not 2 or 3, he has 6, and 8 for the game. Then Game 2, I'm thinking, okay, they got this because it's a 3-point game at halftime. And in the second half, I can't explain it. LeBron unplugged. He disengaged. Maybe he went into defer mode or passive mode or tentative mode. He took 6 total shots in the second half, and slowly but surely they lost by 19 points. And then we get to Game 3, and everybody agreed. Down the stretch, we can disagree with how it was done, but it's the king in his house. I'm sorry, you just closed the deal. And then we get to last night, and you and I didn't talk about this, but we opened the show talking about it. They are up 8 with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. And all of a sudden, in the shock of shocks, because I picked him, I am rooting for the king because I'm rooting for the NBA. I want a series. I want some drama. I want to go back to Cleveland at 3-2. And all of a sudden, maybe we're looking at Game 7, and it would be so fascinating to me to see how Golden State responded to another game back in Cleveland. And what happened? 36-11 happened. 36-11? It's mind-blowing to me. LeBron took 2 shots in those 9 minutes. He played all 9 minutes. He was minus 25. And again, was it all his fault? No, because Kyrie went 1 for 5 in that stretch with 2 turnovers. And Tristan had 2 turnovers, and LeBron had the one unsightly turnover where he just got caught up in the air and came down before he let go of the basketball.
I think one of his biggest mistakes during that run may have been not calling the timeout. I mean, Ty Lue should.
Okay, maybe, because somebody has to stop the bleeding. And it wasn't like Golden State was crazy hot. It's just like here, try it again, try it again. And Chris, the game is virtually cooked. It's over when they go from 8 up to 17 down, and all of a sudden it's a minute 10 left in the half, and you're down 17, and then JR makes 2 like, where did he find that threes, you know?
Yeah, they were lucky
that got him back to 11 at halftime. But again, I just can't go better than C+, because I get it. He averaged a triple-double, beautiful. He's incredibly all-time gifted. But in those key, crucial moments, I didn't see enough. And then you know what really hurt me? In the fourth quarter, when the game was slipping mostly away, LeBron finally said, okay, watch this. And he went bully ball on Iggy and Durant. And, you know, he would just knock them into the paint and up to the rim, and finally they would wind up falling back across the baseline, and LeBron would be left open in the basket. Here, I'll just lay this in. And I'm saying, do you know what? Just a couple of times in that 36-11, show me that. Because they can't. Remember, Chris, they went small the whole night. Iggy played 38 minutes. Yeah. It's small ball. It's what they call their death line, right?
But let me ask Chris, let me ask you this. With about 10, I think it was 10:02 mark, LeBron dunked the ball and KD hit him on the head.
Went over KD.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they call a third foul. KD has to sit down. Do you think that changed? I mean, hypothetically speaking, but that was a foul.
Oh yeah, I thought he got fouled.
He definitely got hammered across the forehead.
I'm shocked that I can't believe they couldn't believe they didn't.
For as great as he is, the all-time great freight train to the basket. It's almost like the Shaquille syndrome, where the refs just say, I'm not going to give you anything. You're so big and strong and powerful. We're giving you nothing at the rim, right? You're just going to have to either make it or not.
Because he doesn't get the call. I mean, Steph Curry.
LeBron shot 4 free throws last night. And by the way, he missed 3, but I won't.
You're right.
Steph shot 15. As much as he went to the basket, he only got 4 free throws.
Look at that. Look at that.
I mean, he got hammered. I mean, anybody
Tremendous
gets that
play,
though.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and it's hard to. But Skip, he had 30 paint points last night. That's the most in the finals.
I think he could have had 40 paint points.
But
because I don't think they can keep him from the rim.
But guess what, Skip? He could have had 50 paint points, and they lose. You'd have said he had 60. If he had 60, you said he had 70.
He's not. The thing with LeBron is, I mean, he had 41 points. I mean, that's pretty high. But he understands he's not going to just go for 60. And the history of the game shows that outside of Michael Jordan, going for those huge numbers doesn't mean you're going to win.
It depends what's happening in that stretch of the game. If you're the best player on the planet, you have to say no in those stretches. Know when to say no. And yet he had no help from the guy who rides shotgun last night. And I said this earlier, Kyrie came up real small last night.
He ran out of gas.
In that stretch, he went 1 for 5 as they were falling behind by 36-11. And then in the fourth quarter, he went 0 for 6. And I'm going to give him a small pass because he said he just hammered his knee into the floor, and they were working on his knee, and his back started tightening up. So I don't know. He didn't look himself because he missed, 2 or 3 layups?
I mean, that one thing he can do, Skip. We know he can finish at the rim.
He's the best finisher.
And then he airballed a 3. He airballed another jumper. And you can tell, Skip, he was spent. He had nothing else.
They were using some contraption thing on his back.
The way he plays and scores is tough. I mean, all that dribbling, that jerking, shaking, and then getting to the rim. He finishes, but that's hard to play that way all the time.
And he's hitting the floor every single time, Skip.
Yeah.
There are very few times that he finishes a shot on his feet.
Yeah.
So he's done a great job of that. But he's a Skip. Get that man a C.
C+.
C+.
That ain't no
The plus
C.
is big.
You're holding him to higher than a Michael Jordan standard.
No, I'm
he
holding
averaged
to
a
the best player
triple-double
on the planet standard.
Triple.
But the only other player,
Triple-double, and he lost in 5, and it should have been. They should have won Game 3. How can I give him an A- when they should have won?
Here's the thing: we can't say if they should have won Game 3, so it should have been 2-2, because Game 4 changes completely. If the Warriors go into that 2-1 instead of 3-0,
well, they won Game 3 last year, huge, and then they lost Game 4.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have been talking about closing them out, and that's what motivated Kyrie, and so everything changes.
Maybe.
They were just up against a much better team.
That's it.
Or you could leave it in the hands of Kyle Korver.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Clutch Kyle.
You didn't mind that in Miami when he left it in the hands of Shane Battier and guys like that.
They made it.
That's the only difference. That's the only difference.
They made it.
Clutch shooters, those two. Hey, Battier and Mike.
Battier.
Wow.
Battier, he played well.
Mike Miller made a 3 with 1 shoot. No mercy. Let's talk about Kevin Durant. Last night, Kevin Durant won his first NBA title and was named Finals MVP. He was heavily criticized for leaving Russell Westbrook and the Thunder last summer to join the Warriors. KD addressed that decision after the game. Let's take a listen.
I hear all the narratives
throughout the season. I was joining. I was hopping on bandwagons. I was letting everybody else do the work. But they didn't. That was far from the truth. I came in and tried to help my team, like I said, try to be myself, be aggressive, and sacrifice as well. Some games I might not get shots, as many shots as I'm used to getting. There's some games where Steph is going to go off and hit 13 threes, or Clay might hit 60, or Draymond might get a triple-double with no points. But nobody cared, as long as we won. And Andre Iguodala, who's right there, he continued to preach that every single day. It's all about the group. If your intentions are good, then that means as a team that we're moving in the right direction. So I just tried to think about that, but also add my flair to the game, and it feels amazing to win a championship with these guys, man. I can't wait to celebrate for the rest of the night. Well, maybe the rest of the summer.
Skip, was Durant vindicated last night?
To me, vindication is in the eye of the beholder. So if you thought that Kevin Durant was weak and cowardly for leaving Russell Westbrook after they had Golden State down 3-1 last year in the playoffs and joining this juggernaut, then I'm sure you're just going to roll your eyes at Kevin Durant winning MVP of the finals. I thought he was vindicated and validated. I found myself rooting for Kevin Durant because he wasn't led to a ring. He led them to a ring.
Absolutely.
He became the takeover guy. Steph Curry, I must admit, I can't sort of get past this. You know how big a fan I've been of Steph's going back before his draft. But he did welcome in the second best player in the world and say, I need this help. And Steph had a huge finals. Look at these numbers for Steph Curry. He averaged 27, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. So he came pretty close to a triple-double, right?
Did he have the quietest 34 points you ever seen last night, Skip?
Awesome. No, you're right. You're right. And guess what? He took a back seat. Who knew? So, again, I have to go back 3 years, and I'm going to reiterate this one last time. Mm-hmm. I did not blame or condemn Kevin for leaving Russell Westbrook. I had inside sources who were telling me Kevin was just sick and tired of playing co-star with Russ, playing the 1A to Russ's 1. And the management in Oklahoma City, from ownership through the GM down to the coach, they treated Russ like the face of the franchise. They coddled him, they spoiled him, if you want to go that far, and they made it clear to Kevin that the man in Oklahoma City is Russ. We want the ball in Russ's hands in all the key situations. That's why vindication and validation last night for me ran so high because, man, on the biggest stage in the sport, Kevin just took it over. Was he not the all-time momentum-killing assassin? You made the point already. Every time Cleveland would do something, Kevin would say, no, not in my house, especially last night. He would just say, no, I got this.
You remember Game 3, Skip?
He did.
What did he do? They were
the shot of that was probably the shot of the whole playoffs, right?
But
right in LeBron's face.
But remember, he got the pick. They got picked, and he got one-on-one with Tristan.
And he just nailed it. And it's a hard shot. That's a harder shot than that 3 he jogged into, to me. Okay?
Yep.
So let me just...
Okay.
So he said finally, after he's going into his 10th year, he said, I want to go where I can be happy. And he loves the Golden State culture because I saw a great quote from Steve Kerr on ESPN.com where, again, I had an issue with, will Kevin be able to blend into this with Steph being a 2-time MVP, one-time unanimous MVP, first ever? And Kerr said, this was not getting an isolation guy who needs the ball in his hands. And Kevin said, he loves moving without the ball. He loves passing. He loves running the floor. He fit in our system perfectly. Well, he did. Because several people have made the point, this isn't original with me, like if you took LeBron and put him on Golden State, they'd have a harder time because LeBron has the ball in his hands a lot more, right? Kevin can just run around without the ball and kind of play the Steph role except at almost 7 feet tall, right?
Correct.
So in the end, I loved what both guys did because it was a win-win for Russell and Kevin. And this is like an only in Hollywood script. Think about what just happened. Russell said, okay, heck with you. Basically said, screw you. Watch what I do with what's left over here in Oklahoma City. I'm going to average a triple-double for the first time since Oscar. What was it, 63?
62, 63.
Okay. And I'm going to lead a bad team to the 6th seed and into the playoffs. I think Russ is completely content with that. Just the way LeBron was content with his triple-double in the finals. Russ completely content. So what did Kevin do? Watch me top you. And he goes and becomes the MVP of the finals. So one guy's MVP of the regular season, and the guy who left him is the MVP of the finals. That's only in Hollywood, right? Yep. It's an amazing story. And I congratulate Kevin because he went where he found peace. And all he talks about is how happy he is with Steph and Clay and Draymond. They all just embraced him. And Steph Curry said, I'll take a back seat. That's incredible. And by the way, Steph has a ring to show for it this morning.
Another ring to show for it. Skip, this is why I disagree with you. This was not validation, his vindication. His vindication was his happiness. Because him going and being happy, he's not having to compete with his teammate for shots, for points, and attention. He can go somewhere and we win, we all get credit. It's not about averaging a triple-double. It's not about having 50 points and everybody says who's the most athletic. Kevin Durant's vindication was his happiness. And to watch the way his all-around game flourished and blossomed in Golden State.
Beautiful thing.
The way we never saw it
that is correct.
In all the years
Ever.
in OKC.
So, we didn't see the rebounding. We didn't see the shot blocking. We didn't see the defending. I saw it all on display on the biggest stage in the sport.
He's so much happier. And it's easier to play the game when you're happier. And for whatever reason, now look, they did a great job of drafting because think about this, Skip. You got the MVP of the finals. You're probably going to have the MVP of the regular season. And the guy that was also on that team once upon a time, James Harden, is going to be the runner-up.
He will be.
You had those guys at you had the Golden State Warriors before the Golden State Warriors had it. You let it go.
I still don't get it.
Skip.
It's because of luxury tax. That's what they said.
Skip, it takes money to make money. Golden State says, I don't care. If you're going to bring us some championships, we'll pay $30, $40 million over. That's what Golden State said. Dan Gilbert is over every year. He's playing $20, $25, $30 million every year. But that's the price of winning, Skip.
Shannon, I guess you could argue that the egos were all so big that they would start to collide as they started to grow up. And all of a sudden, James wants the ball more, Russell's got the ball more, and Kevin's saying, I'm over here, I'm open. Can somebody lob me the ball?
Well, you're right, Skip, because when you look at it, you got all alpha dog personalities. And when you look at Golden State, Clay is perfectly content. Because think about it. Dude is like Klay Thompson could be, at worst case scenario, 2 on any other team, but a handful.
I agree.
He could be 1 on a lot of teams.
He could.
He's the 3rd or 4th best player. He's like, I'm okay.
And he seems just fine with it. And he poured his guts out just trying to chase Kyrie all over the floor.
And for Steph Curry, I don't know if I've ever seen a more selfish MVP in any sport than what this young man. Skip, he's unanimous. He can say, I got an MVP. Now, there are a lot of people that got MVP trophies. But none of you can say you got all the first place votes. I can say that. And he welcomes a guy that can do everything that he can do it a little bit better at 7 inches taller. He can post up, he can mid-range, he can shoot the 3, he can block shots, he can do everything Steph can do and better, except handle the ball. He ain't got handles like Steph. But that's okay. And Steph says, hey, I'm good.
I'm good.
You coming here?
Steph averaged 8 rebounds in 5 games. That's 40 rebounds. How did he do that? I don't know. Every time I looked up, there'd be a loose ball, offensive rebound. He'd come away with it. I'd say, where did he come from?
You know the difference between this year and last year, Skip? Hungry. They're hungry. They wanted it. KD, the way KD was playing, Skip, even in the other rounds, KD didn't play like he's played in this finals. Steph Curry, this is the best finals we've ever seen Steph Curry because, as you mentioned last year he had more turnovers than assists.
He did.
And you look at him this year, Skip, losing, it fueled them. It caused them to go out and go get the second best player. And in order to finish this thing off, because they knew this would have been the ultimate letdown. If you go get the second best player after 73 wins, you followed up with 67, and you lose in the finals again, because now you're pulling your hair out like, well, what do we do? We got arguably the second, third, or second and fourth best players on one team. We got a guy that once got 37 points in a quarter. We got the ultimate Swiss Army knife in Draymond.
Yep.
So what can we do, Skip? I look at Steph and how he was battling for, as you mentioned, rebounds and the timely shots. I mean, he had the quietest 34 points. I didn't realize it until I'm looking at the box score on my phone. I'm like, dude had 34? When, where, how?
So Kevin Durant came into these finals with the weight of the NBA world on his kind of narrow shoulders, right?
Yep.
There's no more pressure than was on that guy. LeBron always has pressure.
Right.
But everybody, not everybody, but millions of people out there were waiting for Kevin Durant to fall on his face in the finals, and instead it was in all your faces, right?
All those teams that scoffed and laughed at Kevin Durant when he couldn't bench 135.
Yeah.
Yep. Who's worrying about benching 135 now?
He can lift that, hey, Skip, I bet he can lift that ring up.
Lift that ring off the table. That's all that matters. Like Steph said, you got to call him a champion now. No mercy. The Warriors had the best record in NBA playoff history, finishing at 16-1. Next year, the Westgate Superbook has them as the highest favorite going into a season in any sport at 1-2. The Cavs have the second best odds at 3-1. Last night, LeBron spoke about the potential longevity of these Warriors.
As far as that team, they're going to be here for a while. They're going to be around for a while. Pretty much all their guys are in their 20s. Pretty much all their big-name guys are in their 20s, and they don't show any signs of slowing down. So, there's going to be a lot of teams that's trying to figure out ways to put personnel together to try and match that if they're able to actually face them in a playoff series, both Eastern Conference and Western Conference, because they're built for, from my eyes, they're built to last, a few years, so we see.
We're joined again by Chris Broussard.
Thank you, Joy. First, can a brother get a little bit of love?
You know what? It's funny. I was just going to do that for you, but now I'm not. I was going to, before you jumped in, okay?
I just wanted to make sure.
You picked the prohibitive favorite.
No,
Congratulations.
I said you picked the Clippers. Mm-hmm. So you picked the Cavs. I picked as soon as Kevin Durant went to Golden State.
Mm-hmm. You did.
It's over.
Yeah.
They're winning it. And obviously that's the case.
Well,
way to go. End of segment.
Just wanted to make sure
the
of that.
Same thing happening in the finals next year.
I mean, obviously Cleveland's going to end up making some changes. We'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, as it is right now, they're going to be better next year. They have figured out the pecking order. It's now KD's the best player, his team, so to speak. Steph, I think everyone understands the most important player. You have to play through Steph and let him do his thing offensively. Klay understands his role. Draymond understands his role. KD said he'll take less money so that Iguodala can come back. We've even seen that average role players in Cleveland and here can come in and play well because you're surrounded by superstars. JaVale McGee, he looked good for them.
You did.
Zaza Pachulia served his purpose and did what he does.
Hurt Skip guy.
Yeah, well, that was his purpose. That was his purpose, right?
He was the MVP of Chris Broussard's playoffs. Trust me on that.
But this is going to happen. I believe they should win at least the next two finals. I mean, again, I'm looking at the landscape as it is now before changes are made. But they should win at least the next two, maybe the next three. This is a dynasty in the making, period, the end. I mean, yes, they're going to win it next year.
Go ahead, Skip.
No, go.
No, I want you to
fine.
go.
All right.
I'll wait to talk about Cavs changes, what they
Okay.
got to do.
So let's get this straight. Before the year started, I was not sure how my Spurs would respond without the great Tim Duncan, because this was a new era, a new time. He was the man. It's like the Brady Belichick question.
yeah.
He was the guy, not Coach Popovich. It was Tim Duncan as the leader of the franchise. And I also said, and I've already apologized to Kevin for this, I thought it would take Kevin a year to figure out how to work with these guys. Steph and KD, how do you make it work on the biggest stage? And right away, through the playoffs, they found themselves. But I'm going to bring this up again. I loved what happened to my Spurs because they really found themselves against Houston. They peaked right on schedule, and you cannot sweep this under the LeBron rug anymore. My Spurs had them dead to rights in Game 1. They would have won Game 1, and your prediction, I believe, would have gone right down the tubes because I believe the Spurs would have won the Western Conference Finals. So don't bring me all-time great when you're down 23 mid-third quarter where Kawhi is just tearing them apart. He's just dominating. He's getting whatever he wants, and so is everybody else. They're down 23 mid-third at Oracle, and it's the same Spurs who went there on opening night and won by 29 in that building. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing
Spurs
it.
they rallied from a 22-point deficit in the regular season in San Antonio.
Without
This
KD.
was, this was it.
Come on.
This was for the
that's one
money.
game.
This is Game 1, and if they won it, which they would have, all of a sudden Game 2 would have been something to watch because the Spurs could have just gone in free and easy, and I think they had a real good shot of winning Game 2 because they love playing in that building, and they really love playing against those guys, the LeBron guys. So to me, again, Kevin was way better than I thought he was. I told you guys early on, in Oklahoma City, he became a complimentary superstar. The alpha was viewed by the organization as Russell Westbrook. And I didn't know Kevin had this in him, and he showed me a lot. And I don't think even Chris Broussard saw that coming because I don't think you would have predicted Kevin was going to be the MVP of the NBA Finals because I couldn't see that coming.
I just think the reason I thought that it would work right away is because he's a fit. The only other time we saw it work right away was Boston with the big three because it fit. Ray's the shooter, Paul's the offensive guy with, at the end of the game, and KG was defense. So Rondo's a playmaker.
He was a great fit. And again,
Yeah.
Steve Kerr talked about, I read a quote from ESPN.com where he said, he's not an ISO guy.
No.
He runs, he moves without the ball. He runs the floor. He does everything that Steph will do, except he's 7 feet tall.
If they had brought LeBron, let's say they got LeBron
That would be
instead
tricky,
of KD, that would be
trickier.
very
Yep.
difficult. I mean, obviously you'd be great, but basically they become a whole different team. And I think everything would revolve around LeBron.
Yeah,
and
but
he'd kick out. So KD fit.
But
you didn't have to change
they
his
would
system.
They would have about 2,000 threes though. Because,
he would penetrate and kick.
Steph and Klay.
That's what they would
You know
do.
what, Skip? The Cavaliers, game 3, 4, and 5, showed me that they're capable of playing with this team, but they have to be perfect. See, Golden State can get away with being imperfect in certain situations because they still have that one guy. And then you still have to constantly remind yourself, even though KD got the ball, they got a 2-time MVP that we still got to chase around. We still got the second or third best three-point shooter in Klay, who's averaging like 12 points a game, that we still got to pay attention to.
Okay, and I'm going to remind you one more time, that was also the Cavaliers, the 22nd ranked defense during the regular season. So they're not great on defense.
No, and I'm not so sure if you're great that you can slow this team down. And I agree with Chris, they're probably going to be even better. Now, Klay, Draymond, and McCaw are really the only guys that they have up under contract. Kevin Durant has a player option. Now, they're going to give Steph Curry the max, which is about 207, 210. Kevin Durant says he'd take less money. Mama say, get your money, baby. Now, how much less is he willing to take?
He instead of taking 35, he'll take 31. So it's not even a big deal.
I got to throw this in.
And he knew that was a possibility when he went there.
But as a guy who grew up in Oklahoma City, would I love to see Kevin say, okay, I'm going to go back and try to win a ring with Russ? I would love to see it, but I don't believe it will happen.
He can't.
It would be, it'd be a great look for him if he could do it. I give you that. But one of the things that convinced me last year when free agency began that Durant was going to Golden State, and I said that's where he's going, was that I was told by people around the situation that KD did not want to do free agency again next year.
Right.
See, I thought initially he would go back for 1 year, try to win a ring, and then do what he wanted to do.
Right.
But when I heard that this is a permanent move he's viewing it as, I thought, okay, he's going to Golden State because that's really where he wants to be.
So it does feel like Golden State is just getting started. But I remind you, and we've talked a lot about this in the NFL context, stuff happens. Injuries and attrition happen. Clashing egos happen. I don't see it yet. It seems like everybody is blissfully happy with each other, right?
but see, you and I and Chris and everybody else is talking. This is KD's team now. This is KD's team now.
Yep.
Now, all summer long, it's KD. And he was like, hold on, wait a minute now. You came and joined me. I had 2 MVPs before you got here. I had a title before you.
You could be
had
right about that.
Hey, it's a funny thing. But here's the thing with Cleveland, Skip. If I'm the Cavaliers and I can move, let's just say for the sake of argument, the Indiana is willing to take Kevin Love and Iman Shumpert for Paul George.
Okay.
Do you think, and I asked Chris this off camera, I'm going to ask you, do you think Tristan Thompson is a better player than Andre Drummond? Would you be willing to make that deal? Would you trade Drummond for Thompson?
I just like Tristan's heart better. I just like his guts and desire and his relentlessness. I know he didn't come up as big as he needed to.
He played good last night,
but
though.
He played hard, man.
And he played good in Game 4, yeah.
He's a part of that team.
Yeah.
Like, he's a part of their heart and
So
soul.
if you get Tristan Thompson, LeBron, Paul George, Kyrie, maybe put have JR come off
I
the
would
bench.
give him a little better shot. I'll take Paul George, especially as the third wheel on that team. If he will accept that role, I'll say he's a better third wheel than Kevin Love was, because you can't trust Kevin in the biggest moments, and last night was a big moment. And he didn't play awful, but he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't have much of an impact other than Game 4. Here's the thing with George, and this is why it's realistic. I don't know that it'll happen. He has a lot of say in this.
Yeah.
He can go to the Pacers and say, look, I'm leaving next year as a free agent.
Right.
You can either get nothing for me, or you can trade me to Cleveland and get something, that probably Kevin Love. And
Does he want to play in Cleveland, or does he want to go home to Los Angeles and play Lakers?
To me, the Clippers wouldn't be a bad option, although they wouldn't beat this.
They're not beating Golden State.
The Lakers would be career suicide. You're probably going to the lottery if you go to the Lakers, unless you bring some great superstar who's yet to be named out there. So you're probably in the lottery. At best, you're an 8th or 7th seed. In the West, guess what? You probably aren't even making the all-star team if your team is that low. So he would fade away and just be another good player.
Can we trade Kevin Love for Boogie Cousins?
You might. Would you do? I wouldn't do that. I mean, you think
what about Boogie and Bron?
LeBron to
Boogie and Bron.
I don't think the Cavs would do that, because Boogie. Look, the talent is spectacular,
but I
Boogie,
think I would do that. I'd
Boogie might turn into the Boogie Man for real, though, because Boogie be tripping.
Yeah,
Boogie come in there one day, he wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yep.
He throwing the tables, the furniture, everything.
So last quick point on the Cavaliers side, and you can speak to this. It just feels like David Griffin's going to be the fall guy here, because he still doesn't have a deal, and I know he's not a big name, but he is the GM
and he's
who
done
put
a
this.
good job,
He's done a good job, but it just feels like somebody's going to have to, quote unquote, pay for losing in 5. I just think he'll go.
Bron said David Griffin should remain and he should get a raise. Now that's what Bron said. Bron says he's done a great job.
That's what he said publicly.
That's what Bron say. That's what Bron say.
I think he'll be back, because I mean they kept him from the interviews with other teams. I do think the owner Gilbert could have came out and said, "Look, Griff's not going anywhere. We'll settle this after the finals." But he didn't. So
he did not.
To your point, maybe that's But I think he'll be back.
You're just trying to get rid of Kevin Love, huh?
What about Melo? You want Melo in Cleveland?
I don't.
Not as a trade. Maybe if he can get the Knicks to buy him out. And
But he
go there
going
for
to
the
Cleveland.
minimum.
Well, he going to
You think so?
Cleveland. Yeah, if they buy him out.
No mercy. ESPN is reporting Mayweather Promotions plans to make a request with the Nevada State Athletic Commission for August 26th as a target date for Mayweather to fight Conor McGregor. McGregor agreed to terms of a deal last month. Last night, McGregor poked fun at Mayweather by tweeting an image of Floyd and saying, "Man, much respect to Floyd Sr. still getting a few rounds in at the gym. I hope I can still train at that age. Respect."
Oh, you kiki. Okay, keep on kiki, Skip.
Got him.
Do you believe this
like
will
that.
happen?
No, I don't like it.
Yes, you
26th?
do.
I don't like
Just a little talking,
Yeah.
It's okay.
a little jab.
Floyd, when
Yeah. I love me some Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I do.
He ain't afraid of no Floyd.
He
you
will
know
be.
it, and we'll see about that. But I'm sorry, I smell a rat here. I am suspicious of this date. I'm going to say no to August 26th.
Why?
That it will not happen. I'll tell you why. I think that filing for Floyd and company served 2 purposes. Number one, for the next couple of months, it'll get people off his back about are you or aren't you, may or may not weather about this fight. And I also think, number 2, it's a little got you back to the Triple G versus Canelo promoters, because they took the date of September 16th that reportedly was a possible date for McGregor versus Mayweather. And so now they tweaked him by saying, we'll preempt you by a couple of weeks with this August 26th date. But I'm still not buying it because I'm going to remind everybody, Floyd still has not made a deal with the UFC's Dana White, who has made a deal with Conor, but obviously owns Conor's rights through UFC. And I'm also going to remind everybody that, to me, having covered so many big fights, August 26th seems way too soon for a fight of this potential pay-per-view magnitude because it's just too hard to get it all off the ground. And well, I didn't do the math on how it's a couple of months away. It's not quite.
It's probably like 9 weeks.
Okay, 9 weeks away. It's just not enough time to promote an event of this magnitude completely the way you should. And to me, this is a 6-month proposition where you set the date and you have this huge build-up to where people just can't wait to buy this fight. So,
with 6 months, Skipper, that's 2018.
Okay, well, I got it, and Floyd's going to be 41, and then here we go. Okay, so I get all that, but I just don't think they can get this off the ground that quickly. But I do think that Conor is still lighting little fires under Floyd, prodding him, poking him, tweeting him, tweaking him, trying to get him to go ahead and leap to a deal with Dana White because I'm sure Conor would like to do it tomorrow in some alley in West Hollywood. You know, he'd just say, meet me. Let's just the two of us. No. But we'll see about it because I'm going to say no to August 26th.
I'm going to say yes, Skip. And I think Floyd wants this fight happen sooner than later because, you know, Conor, fiance or his wife or whatever, she just had the baby. And so Floyd might be thinking, well, hey, you've been, you know, up at night, rocking the baby, you know, you hadn't been training like you're supposed to.
Maybe. So
this is an opportunity. But Skip, I always thought this fight, you and I both always thought this fight would happen for the simple fact there was so much money involved. And when you're talking about the pay-per-view, but here's the risk that Dana White runs. Conor McGregor takes this fight. He loses. He gets $125 million. Why would I ever go back to UFC and fight for anything less than $50 million, Skip? So now, let's just say he loses and he looks okay. Hey, Pacquiao, you want to do something?
Sure.
We can do something for $60 million.
Okay.
Hey, Canelo or this one, we can do something for 45, 50.
Triple G.
Because for the longest time, Dana White suppressed this man's earning potential he kept telling the world, Ronda Rousey is the draw. She was the darling because she was a female. She was in movies. She was an attractive female, but Skip, she was in a combat sport. So that's easy to say, man, look how she look, man. Got the curly hair. She in movies, walking red carpets. And Conor's like, but I'm winning. And then boom, Holly Holmes. And then boom, Amanda Nunes. Now you remember Nunes said, when she like, I'm gonna run through it. I was like, Skip. Yes,
she was on with us in New York.
Yeah, in New York.
She just laid it right on the table.
Oh, yeah, she can't beat me. And so now Conor's like, hold on. What happened to your darling? What happened to the lady that you said was the face of the MMA? I'm the face. And after I fight Floyd Mayweather, this is what it's going to take. You might own my rights, but if the money isn't right, I ain't fighting. And so now that's what he's going to be up against. And this is why Dana, I think, pushed back so much. He always thought this was a possibility because you get that guy, Skip, and you give him $100 million, $125 million. When you fight that kind of sport, Skip, you didn't come from no silver spoon. You didn't come from no well-to-do upbringing, Skip. That's a different mindset. That's a Fight Club. They got some rules, Skip, but that's a whole different animal than when you have like a football or a basketball or baseball players, because we've seen guys from affluent families still become great professional athletes.
Floyd came from more of a quote-unquote silver spoon background than Conor did.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But Skip, to go in there and to know a man is really trying to hurt me, because that when you do those boxing and MMA, Skip, you're in the hurt business. You intentionally trying to go out there and inflict bodily harm. I believe this fight's going to happen, and I do agree with you on this, Skip. I do believe this was a little needle, because you know we wanted that date. You ran and jumped. That's why you had, because my thing with the Triple G and Canelo fight, Skip, they had the graphics already up. They have confetti, and it just so happened Triple G was in attendance, and he came in the ring for what? You're not with either one of them guys, so why are you in the ring? I'm like, That's 3-day-old fish. I smell something. That's what it was, Skip. They had a hook, line, and sinker. And so now Mayweather and his group is like, okay, because in the MGM, Skip, De La Hoya signed this deal. No fight can take place within a 3-week window. So this would be about 3 weeks and 2 days, 3 weeks and 4 days. They're like, oh, we missed it.
I so hope you were right about this because I cannot wait to watch this because I give Conor a shot that most people are not giving him.
Oh, you got to be there, too. This ain't no TV.
We will be there.
Because I know you like to watch it. You like to be watching it in your thing.
Oh, you mean at the fight?
No, you got to be at this one. I got to see the look. I can't see you through the TV.
I told you I want to be in the splatter zone because I think somebody's blood is going to fly. And
Lord,
it's
just
not
do
going to
me
be Conor's. Listen, in the end, I just don't believe that Floyd may or may not, whether Jr. will risk, what is he up to now?
49-0.
I just don't believe he'll risk 49-0 against this guy. This is a bad you-know-what.
The only reason he's taking this fight, Skip, he would not take this if he didn't think he could win this fight handily.
Well,
Floyd on my bucket list, I got a lot of bucket lists. I want to go to Wimbledon. I want to go to a Daytona 500. I just want to walk you in the ring. Then let me walk you in the ring, Floyd.
Look, I always read that the richest men in the world don't believe they have enough money, but Floyd has a whole lot of money. Does he really need one more huge payday? I don't know. Does he?
Yeah.
Is it worth 49-1?
For $300 million? Absolutely.
Wait, is it? I don't think it would be.
Skip. Jeff Bezos works every day. He's the second richest man in the world.
I got it.
Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Larry Ellison. They still work. They worth billions. Mark Zuckerberg. Ain't nobody.
And deep down, they all fear they're going to lose it all. That's what they always say. Okay. So maybe Floyd fears he's going to lose it all.
Skip, if you got $86 billion and you don't think you got enough, I hardly think you got enough if you got $400 or $500 million.
Well, this date definitely is strategic because it is exactly 3 weeks before the September 16th date. Exactly. And the T-Mobile Arena and MGM Resorts are parent companies.
Yeah.
So.
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. That's it for us today. Undisputed is actually off tomorrow, but we'll be back Thursday and Friday. From Erin Hills, the site of the 117th U.S. Open, we'll be on a half an hour early at 9 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk to you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.